Welcome, welcome to the Mind Funk Podcast. Yay! welcome once again, my friend. Thank you so much for, as always, taking time out to hang out with me. I'm really grateful that you're here hanging out with me. My name is Wanu Aleshe, and sometimes I do go by Amazing Soul. Welcome to the Mind Funk Podcast. So, SCK stands for fun, compassion, and kindness. and we also have like a tradition that we do right before we start the episode. Essentially, it's a list that I put together that I titled Reminders to Being Human. Essentially, it is to remind me, and also in the hopes to remind you on your journey. So we're going to go through that list before we start the actual show. Okay? Let's get into it. Reminders to being human. Have fun along the journey. Show yourself compassion. Be kind to others. Being complex and being simple can hold true in the same breath. Stay curious. Hold space for pauses. Hold space for not knowing. Never underestimate the power of silence. Nature has a lot of wisdom. Pay attention. There is power in we than I. If nothing else makes sense, come back to love. Pain is our greatest teacher. And the very last one, never underestimate your ripple of existence. Welcome once again. Let's get into the fun part of the show. All right. I want to start today with something I think many of us have quietly thought at some point. We tell ourselves, if I know better, why do I still do this? I mean, why do I still overthink? Why do I still people please? Why do I still scroll when I said I wouldn't? Why do I still react in the same old way? Even after all the books, the therapy, the awareness, the growth, why is letting go of old habits so hard even when you know better? I want to approach this very gently because if you're like me, there was a time when you turned that question into self-criticism. I mean, I made it mean I'm not disciplined enough, I'm not healed enough, I should be further by now. I mean, I've said all the stuff to myself. And what I have learned over the years is, especially through my own nervous system journey, is that knowing better and feeling safe enough to do better are two completely different things. And it took me a long time to really realize that. Let me take you back for a second, right? A few years ago, I was medically transitioning out of the army. I was dealing with chronic lower back pain that had followed me for years. My sleep was wrecked. I was getting maybe 2 to 4 hours a night of sleep. I knew sleep was important. I knew stress wasn't helping. I knew I shouldn't be doom scrolling at midnight on my phone. And yet, there I was, my phone in hand, my chest slightly tight, my body exhausted as fuck. My mind was constantly wired. And, if you had asked me then, Wanu, why don't you just put the phone down? I would have had the perfect intellectual answer to give to you. But at that time, my body was not operating from logic. My body was operating from survival. And that's where I want to start today. You see, my friend, old habits, they're rarely about lack of knowledge. No, they're usually about protection. On my journey, one of the hardest truths I had to face was this. Some of my bad habits, they once kept me safe. I mean, people pleasing kept me safe as a child who grew up defiant in a household where rules were not optional. Physical discipline was normalized, and questioning too much came with consequences. So for me as a child, I learned to read the room. I learned to anticipate reactions, and I also learned to adjust. I mean, that habit did not come from weakness. It came from my nervous system's intelligence. And, fast forward to my adulthood, and I found myself still over explaining, still softening my tone, still saying yes when my body was quietly saying no. And I would think to myself, damn, Wanu, you know better than this. But here's what I did not understand then. My nervous system did not care that I was a 30-something-year-old adult. It cared that this pattern once equaled safety. You see, when you try to let go of an old habit, you're not just changing your behavior. You're asking your body to give up something that once helped you survive. That is not a small ask, my friend. I'll give you another example from my life. Sleep, right? So for so many years after leaving the military, my body did not trust stillness. I mean, even when my life literally started to slow down, even when I had no early formation to go to, even when I was safe in my own home, I would still find myself waking up around 2 or 3 a.m. wide awake. I mean, my heart slightly racing, my mind constantly scanning. And then I would get so frustrated with myself. And I'll tell myself, damn, I know I need sleep. Why can't I just relax? But again, like I said, knowing better did not override my conditioning. My nervous system had been trained in high alert environment, irregular schedules, performance under pressure. You don't just decide your way out of that. No. I mean, you have to literally renegotiate that with your body. And you do that very slowly. You do that through repetition. You do that through safety. You do that through patience. I mean, there were nights where I would wake up and instead of attacking myself, I would whisper to myself, it's okay, Wanu. We're safe. I mean, that was one of my biggest shifts for me. Letting go of the habit of fighting myself. I want to offer you a framework here, right? From my personal experience, there are 3 reasons letting go of old habits feels so damn hard. Number 1, Familiarity feels safer than freedom. Number two, the body moves slower than the mind. Number three, identity gets wrapped around behavior. Let's talk about the first one. Familiarity feels safer than freedom. Even if the habit is uncomfortable, even if it drains you, even if you hate that habit, it is predictable. And the nervous system, your nervous system, and every nervous system loves predictability. You see, there was a season where I realized I would create subtle stress right when things were going well in my life. If a week felt calm, if I felt steady, if there was no crisis, something in me will tighten. And immediately I will start overthinking. I will start adding more shit to my plate. I will start picking at something small. It looked like self sabotage, right? But when I slowed down and really observed it, I realized calm felt unfamiliar to me back then. My body was more used to pressure than peace. So peace did not feel safe initially. It felt suspicious. And me having that awareness alone changed everything. So, but instead of telling myself, wonder why you like this, I started asking myself, what is my body protecting me from? You see, my friend, curiosity softened the shame. The second reason, the body moves slower than the mind. Ooh, this took me a long time to get it. You can read a book in a week. You can have a breakthrough conversation in an hour. You can make a powerful decision in 5 minutes. But your nervous system updates itself through repetition. Tiny repetition, micro moments of safety. I mean, simple things like placing your feet on the ground when you wake up for a few seconds. Yawning and completing the cycle. Laying flat on the floor and let gravity hold and support you. I did not heal my sleep by forcing it, my friend. My sleep started to get better over time by signaling safety over and over and over again. 4 hours turned into five turned into six turned into eight. Then I started having naps during the day. It wasn't dramatic. It was not sexy, but I will tell you something. It was consistent as fuck. And the mistake that most of us make is we try to let go of habits with intensity. We tell ourselves, I'm done. Never again doing this anymore. New me, new year. But the body trusts consistency more than intensity. And having that realization for me and awareness, that was so humbling. Because before, I like big insights. I like big realizations, big shift. But I will tell you this right now. True regulation, it is quiet. It is repetitive. And it is boring sometimes. But I tell you this, it fucking works. The third piece, identity. You see, sometimes we don't just have habits. We have identities built around them. We tell ourselves, I'm the busy one. I'm the strong one. I'm the independent one. I'm the one who holds it together. You see, when I began softening my hyper independence, it felt destabilizing at first. If I'm not the one who handles everything, that's what I was telling myself. If I'm not the one who pushes through pain, if I'm not the one who never needs help, then who am I? That's the question I started asking myself. I mean, I'll tell you this, my friend, letting go of a habit, deeply ingrained habit, can feel like losing yourself. And the ego does not enjoy that. You see, I'll always tell this story. I remember after my mentor once told me bluntly to take full responsibility for my life during one of my lowest periods in my life. I was angry at first, it felt harsh, but over time, I had realized I had built an identity around being the one that life happened to, right? Around being shaped by my circumstances. And taking responsibility meant I couldn't keep rehearsing the same story. I had to let go of that story. And that meant letting go of some emotional habits too, like blame, resentment, victim loops. Those emotional habits, those were familiar and they gave me structure then. And letting go of those habits required grieving parts of me. And I don't think we talk about that part enough. Growth includes grief. There's also something else I want to mention here. Old habits are efficient. They require less energy because the neural pathways in your brain are hardwired and strong, right? So trying a new way of responding, pausing instead of reacting, saying no instead of saying yes, going to bed instead of doom scrolling on your phone requires more energy at first. It feels heavier initially. It feels slower initially, which is why we often slide back to those old habits. It's not because we don't care. It's not because we're weak, but because the brain prefers the path of least resistance. But there is good news. Repetition rewires your brain. You see, I've experienced this in my life with emotional charge, right? I've shared this before and it works. It's simple and I'll just keep sharing it over and over. There was a time when I would feel something tighten in my chest and I would immediately react. I mean, I would get a text message, I would define myself, I would try to over explain myself in text messages, I would try to fix stuff, right? Over the past few years, I have practiced something very simple but very powerful. When that charge arises, now I pause. I literally say internally, I am simply noticing the sensation in my chest area and I sit with it for about 90 seconds. I don't give it a story, I don't try to fix, I just flipping observe myself for 90 seconds. At first, it was uncomfortable as fuck. Now, it's normal. Because over time, the intensity reduced, the loops shortened. Not because I forced them away, no, but because I stayed. I'll tell you this, my friend. Letting go of the habit of immediate reaction required staying with discomfort long enough for my body to learn that the sensation itself was not dangerous. Do you see, my friend? It is safe to feel, but your body needs to know this. If you're listening and thinking, okay, but I still feel stuck, I want to say this to you very clearly, my friend. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not failing at growth. What is likely happening is you're likely trying to override a protective system with logic alone, right? And I'm telling you, that rarely works long term. So instead of asking yourself, why can't I just stop this habit? Try this question instead. What did this habit once protect me from? Or you can also ask, when did I first need this habit? Or you can ask, is my body convinced it's safe to let it go yet? Those questions, they change how I approach myself. You see, when I stopped attacking my patterns I started understanding them. They softened. It wasn't overnight, no, but steadily, over time, steadily. Consistency, not perfection, right? You see, letting go of old habits is hard because they were once solutions for your body. They may no longer serve you, but they're not random. They were intelligent adaptations of your nervous system. And I want you to honor that and gently introduce something new. Remember, my friend, less intensity, more consistency. Less shame, more curiosity. Less force, more safety. If there's one thing my journey has taught me over the years, I mean, I moved from Lagos to New York, from being in the military to having my medical retirement, from insomnia to regulation, is this: the body always keeps score and is always learning every time. And your body learns best in safety. So if you're currently in your messy middle, if you know better but still find yourself repeating old patterns, hear it is from me, my friend. Be patient with the part of you that once needed that habit. It kept you alive. Now you get to teach it something new, but you do that now slowly. And that's not weakness, my friend. That is rewiring in real time. I'll leave you with this, with a gentle reflection, right? I want you to ask yourself, what habit are you trying to force yourself out of right now? And what would change if instead of trying to eliminate that habit, you try to understand it? I mean, that shift alone might be the beginning of letting that habit go. I want to thank you so much for listening. I want to thank you so much for being here, my friend. And I'm sending you so much love from my heart to yours. Thank you.